Genshin Impact might be releasing the single best version in the entirety of its lifespan, and to be honest, I'm actually a little excited. I mean, it's been so long since Genshin Impact made me feel any kind of hype, but Lunar 2 might just be that region that finally brings me back to playing. At least to a certain degree. But here's the thing, the biggest source of excitement for me might not be what you expect. So in this video, we're going to break down everything from the new livestream. We'll go over all the major reveals, the genuinely exciting changes, and by the end of the day, we'll answer one simple question. Is Lunar 2 worth coming back to Genshin 4? So if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to drop a like and tell me what you think. If you've already seen the Lunar 2 livestream, was it fun? Were you excited? Or is it just okay? Let me know in the comments. And of course, don't forget to subscribe in case you're interested in any of my future videos. Before we get into it, this video is sponsored by U7Buy. When you're looking for a cheap, safe, and trusted digital marketplace for all things gacha, U7Buy is the best choice. U7Buy offers unbeatable prices for top-ups in your favorite gacha, up to 25% off, and still 10 to 15% cheaper than official platforms. And here's how easy it is to top up. Simply enter your account's UID and server, and your top-up will be processed instantly. Join over 100 million satisfied customers worldwide and check out the 30,000 plus positive reviews on Testpilot. So the question is, do you want the best deals for your in-game top-ups? And simply click the links in the description or pinned comments below to save even more. And here is where you can save extra. When you are checking out, simply enter my discount code TNP to save an extra 3% on already low prices. U7Buy, your gateway to the best gaming top-up deals, fast delivery, and unbeatable prices. So thank you U7Buy for sponsoring this video, and now let's get into it. First things first, we're getting a story. Now, if you watch my previous videos, you already know how I feel about the Lunar 1 storyline. While everyone was hyping it up, I honestly was not that impressed. I felt like there were too many pacing issues, and the characters, from the protagonist to even the antagonist, just felt a little bland. They were not badly written, but they lacked the emotional weight that I was hoping for. But more importantly, there wasn't much deviation from Genshin's usual storytelling formula. The same issues that made Genshin's story feel predictable were still there. So what do I think about the new story? Well, I feel it's probably going to follow the same similar pattern. There'll still be pacing problems, and it'll probably be one of those stories that sounds great on paper, but ends up mediocre in execution. But still, we're going to get some of the most interesting, or at least most looked forward to characters joining us in this version. I mean, Arlecchino, who is probably one of the most fascinating characters in all of Genshin Impact, will be a part of this story. We're also getting Durin, another fan favorite character, and then there is Varka, who might just be the most anticipated character in the entire Nordkrai region joining us. So hopefully, the introduction of these characters make the story a lot more interesting than I'm predicting it to be. But of course, we have to actually play through the story to find out. Then we're getting Nefer. Now, anyone who knows me or my channel already knows I don't really care much about Genshin characters. But honestly, I actually like the way Nefer looks, the way she moves, the way she fights, her skill, her ultimate. Even by my standards, she looks pretty cool. So if you're interested, she is definitely there for you to check out. Then we've got the usual lineup of Genshin events, and to be honest, they're not bad either. They're the classic events you'd expect from Genshin Impact. Nothing too crazy, nothing too over the top. But here's where things start to get interesting. Everything I've talked about so far is what we've always expected from a typical Genshin version. However, the next two things we're about to discuss, these things are genuinely revolutionary in the game. And I know the moment I say this, everyone probably thinks I'm talking about the UGC, but no, that is actually the second thing. To me, the first thing, and honestly, the most hype part of this entire version isn't an event or a character. It is something I heard in the trailer, and I'll play a section of that trailer for you, and let me know if you caught that same thing. Alright, here it is.
How many moons are there in the sky?
What causes our rise and fall? What obliterates love and hate?
Now, did you hear that? Because I could not believe my ears when I first heard it. Genshin is actually putting accents in their game. I mean, this is revolutionary to me. I don't even care if this person turns out to be an NPC we meet only once. I just want to see the character that has that accent, because for the first time ever, it sounds like a real person who actually comes from a land like Sumeru. And to be honest, I was not particularly interested in this version at all until I got to that part. That moment completely changed my perspective. It made me want to stay and keep watching. So now, not only will I be playing and reviewing the Nordkrai arc, I'll also be diving into the Sumeru arc, because I'm genuinely interested in the entire storyline now. And then the second big thing in Genshin Impact, something we've all been waiting for, the user-generated content, or as it is officially called in Genshin Impact, the Miliastro Wonderland. And honestly, this is kind of revolutionary, because let's be real, when we first heard about UGC and Genshin Impact, we all thought it would be the basic stuff, right? You step into another world, you play some games, maybe build a few things, do a few challenges, all of it happening in that separate, isolated space. But Hoyoverse, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, they actually cooked here. here. Because not only can you do all of that, stepping into all these new worlds and playing around, they somehow found a way to integrate the UGC into the main world of Genshin Impact, and to me, that is phenomenal. You see, the first thing they advertised was the character system, and honestly, giving credit where credit is due, this is pretty cool. The character system looks good. Not only can you customize this character, and sure, the customization might not be super vast, but still, customization is always a W. You can also make these characters look however you want, because the main highlights here is the costume. There is a wide variety of outfits you can give them, which adds so much more life and personality. But the really cool part is that you can use these customized characters in the main Genshin Impact world. They can be added to your roster, and you can use them just like any other character. And honestly, I can already see how much fun players are going to have with this once it releases. All the screenshots, all the creative designs, all the outfits people are going to show off. This isn't just a win for the game itself, it's a big win for the entire Genshin Impact community. But then comes the big question: how exactly do we get this costume? And this is where I started feeling skeptical, because one thing I have always known about Genshin Impact is that nothing good in this game comes without a downside. There is always a catch, and the UGC is no different. Sure, there's the illusion of free to play in the UGC, the illusion that costumes are accessible to everyone, but when you take the time to dig through all the details, you clearly see Hoyoverse's greed and monetization stamped all over it. Let's start with the first method, the Miliastro Pass, and this is the Miliastro's version of the regular battle pass in Genshin Impact. On the surface, it gives the illusion of being free to play. You can do quests, submissions, and collect costume pieces, and that is fine. But here's the thing, there's another part where if you spend a little extra money, you get more costumes. Now, anyone who has experienced battle passes in Genshin Impact or similar games like Wooden Waves know the difference in reward between the free to play pass and the paid version. There is a huge gulf in what you get. So using that logic, it is almost 100% certain that the same will happen here. As a free to play player, you will get the very basic mundane costume pieces, but the cooler costumes like the ones that are on the screen right now, those will almost certainly require spending money. And then there's the creation system. Now, what is crazy about this is that we were only given the most basic surface level information about it that anyone could give an audience. But going by the type of company Hoyoverse is, and just looking at everything they've shared, I think there are some safe inferences we can make about this system. The creation system is split into two parts. There is the resource gathering part, where you need to collect materials to make a costume, and there's the blueprint part, where you need a specific blueprints to create the costume you actually want. Now here's the kicker. The only way to get that blueprints is through the old system, a system that looks eerily similar to the banner system in the normal game. And if you put two and two together, you know exactly where I'm going with this. There are these geodes of replications, which are essentially the primal gems of the costume system, but we weren't told how many pulls it would take to actually get the costume you want. But judging by the 4-star costume we saw in the live stream, it is safe to infer that 5-star costumes will also exist too, which means that even if it is not 90 pulls like the normal Genshin banner, which honestly would be insane, you still have to pull a certain number of times to get the costume you want. But then, to try to mitigate this, they also made a system where you can send costumes to a friend. Now here's the catch. Sending those costumes also require its own resources, and again, the game doesn't fully tell us all the ways to get these resources. They only show us one way, but they don't confirm if there are any other ways or what those ways might be. And considering that there is a shop system in this entire mode, I'm willing to bet that there's going to be a monetization angle here too, both for the normal geodes or replication like resources that you need to pull for costumes, and for the resources required to send costumes to a friend. And if I am right, well, honestly, that is kind of the part that makes me sigh a little bit. And then speaking of shops, there are shops where you can spend money to buy costumes, and those costumes you buy from the shops can also be sent to a friend. And lastly, there are other methods, doing quests, gathering resources, and all the things that give you the materials you need to get the costumes you want. So realistically, there are 4 ways to get costumes: the Miliastro Pass, the old system, the shops, and other methods like quest and resource gathering. From all 4, we can already confirm that the Miliastro Pass and the shops are clearly monetization incentivized. I'll give the old system a pass for now because there were a lot of inferences and guesswork involved in everything I said. So I'll reserve my judgment until I actually dive into the system myself to see if I am right or wrong. And lastly, there is the UGC system itself, the user generated content, where you can, as a player, create your own content within this particular field. And to be honest, this part was actually really cool, like genuinely cool. They made it so that you can use every single resources in the game from the last 5 years to generate your content, which is a level of freedom that is absolutely insane. Secondly, they made it so that you don't need to write a single line of code, which means everyone is involved. Everyone is given the freedom to make whatever type of content they want to make. Everyone can build something of their own. And lastly, there's even a kind of competition built into it. Depending on how well your content performs, depending on how many people play it, your content can be played by the entire Genshin Impact community. And on top of that, you're giving rewards based on how popular your content becomes. Now, here's where a bit of skepticism comes in. They don't actually say what these rewards are. They kept it as vague as possible and just said you'll be given rewards. rewards. So it could be Primo Gems, it could be Mora, it could even be actual money if we were being really optimistic. But realistically, it could be anything. Still, regardless of what the rewards turn out to be, the very idea that something you made could be played and enjoyed by an entire community, I think that is pretty cool. I really do. And with that, the Genshin livestream wraps up. So what do I think of this entire livestream? Is Genshin Impact worth coming back to? And I would say absolutely, because we're not just getting a story, we're not just getting events, we're getting something new, something genuinely new in Genshin Impact. And regardless of how you feel about the game, I'd say that at the very least, just for this new thing, just to see if you would enjoy it, it is worth coming back. It is worth playing Genshin Impact one more time. Now, will the UGC be perfect? Absolutely not. I mean, I've just seen the live stream and I've already pointed out so many things that could potentially go wrong. And to be honest, they probably will go wrong. But still, there are so many aspects that could be genuinely awesome. So I will be playing it. I'll be making tons of videos about both the story and the UGC and everything concerning it. But what about you? Is this version worth coming back for? Will you be jumping into Lunar 2, or are you going to stay away from Genshin Impact? Tell me all that and more in the comments below, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.